Hello, everybody. Andrea Carvin here. And welcome to all you movement enthusiasts and high achievers who love to be out there and doing things. Today is the last day in our series on the price plan for dealing with tendonitis. And we are talking about exercise today. So there's a couple things that are really, really helpful to know when you're starting to be ready to move again from exercise after some kind of tendon injury, or even if you've had a chronic tendon problem flare up. And the first thing is you need to understand what pain is. Pain is probably one of the most misunderstood problems in healthcare today. Pain means to pay attention. And a lot of times we really don't know what to do with pain because what do we pay attention to? And that's something in tendonitis is actually pretty easy. So first rule, know that pain means pay attention. Second is do not move into pain. We do not want to wire our nervous system to feel more pain. So avoid moving into pain. Thirdly, if you're having pain from tendonitis, the same conditions that created your tendon injury are not the same conditions that are going to reverse that injury. So when you're looking at moving again, we want to look at your movement patterns to make sure that whatever it was that was off that led to the injury is dealt with and corrected so that you can restore a normal and healthy movement pattern. So let me give you an example and what this means. So I worked with a client once who had a problem with a tendon in the shoulder and developed the tendonitis and all that pain and threat and stuff that goes with it. And while there were small tears, they weren't deep enough that it was proper or right to do surgery. And even though one surgeon recommended it, several others said, no, don't do surgery. But what do you do when your shoulder is sore and you can't move it and you're not supposed to move into pain, right? So what we know happens is these movement maps get blurred. So we start where we can, addressing the pain from either side. And one of the things we noticed as we looked at the movements that this client had was that a lot of the problem of her shoulder pain and what had stressed her shoulder out was actually a strain and a weakness in her hip. And so we did a few hip exercises. We worked on the elbow and did some mapping of her elbow. We did some mapping of her hip. We did mapping of the wrists. And then we put the movements together very slowly. And sure enough, after just a couple weeks, we completely restored all movement. The pain was gone and the maps were well defined so that her brain knew it was safe to move and the inflammation gone, all better, fixed. So that's just a brief example of how important it is when you have a tendonitis that the same conditions that created the problem, which many times is a blurred movement map and a blurred sensory map, are not going to be the same conditions. So going back into that over and over again, if that's a pattern for you as well, then I really encourage you to have somebody take a look at your movement patterns and make sure that you're getting the information you need to keep your body healthy, because you don't want to stop doing the things that you love doing. That's not the goal. So that's our series this week. Protect, first letter in price, rest, ice, compress when it's appropriate. And again, in brain-based therapy, we're always looking to see if what we're doing is right for the body, because the body will tell us. And then today we talked about exercise. And again, knowing pain means pay attention, never move into pain. And also to understand that learning to move more efficiently and better keeps you doing the things you love to do, because we don't want you to stop doing those things. We do want you to learn to move better for what you do. So thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you learned a few things. Please feel free to send me any kind of questions, comments, and I look forward to catching up with you again on currently I'm doing Throwback Thursdays. So on Thursday, we'll be making another suggestion, and there's a few on the website if you do have some back pain, on some things you can do to facilitate that going away. All righty, everybody. Be well. Have a great week. Until next time. Bye-bye.